We've got Charlie. It's the Highguard situation.
They even dusted off the bucket hat for it. It's Highguard release day. I imagine you probably already called in sick for work in order to take as much
No.
time as possible to enjoy this game that everyone in the world had been salivating for since it was revealed at the very end of the Game Awards. Since then, it's been quite a question mark with Highguard because
All right, but before we go any further into this, I'm gonna be so for real. I did not hear anything about this game. It was not on my radar. It popped up at the Game Awards, and after that, I didn't see it at all. Like I genuinely, maybe I'm just not in the circles where it was being promoted, but I didn't see any of it. It felt like they didn't do like any promotion for it except for popping up at the Game Award.
they got
But that
the
might just be
prime
me.
spot in the Game Awards out of nowhere, a game no one was expecting, and a genre most people weren't exactly super excited for these days. Most people perceived it to be a hero shooter, myself included, because in the footage they showed it looked like it was some type of hero shooter.
No,
Most
sir,
often
it
compared to
wasn't.
like Concord, it wasn't a great trailer, and the position that it was placed in at the Game Awards made things even worse. They also then went radio silent for over a month up until like a day or two ago, where they finally broke the silence saying that the game is still coming
Okay,
out
so
as
never mind.
advertised, and then finally.
They didn't fucking advertise this game. Okay, so I'm right to feel that way. Hold on a minute. That's so how can you like promote a game at a big event and not have any follow up? Like it I don't get it. There's so many poor decisions with marketing games lately, and most of them are like shit anyway, but like come on, at least put a good foot forward. Hype me up for your trash at least.
Started, speaking up about it. The game came out today, and it's very clear that this is not a Concord level failure or anything. It had an all time peak of just under 100,000 players, which Concord couldn't have even imagined in their wildest dreams. That game didn't even get to like 1,000 and it died in 2 weeks. It barely lasted longer than a poop left in a gas station
Damn,
toilet.
just rubbing
So
salt
this
in the
blew it out of
wound.
the water in terms of player count. And I think a large part of that success is because the game is free to play, whereas Concord was a $40 paywall. So even people that weren't exactly hyped about Highguard, they were at least willing to give it a spin, at least give it a chance. Kind of. There were some people that literally logged into the game and said this is the biggest pile of dog shit ever, 0 out of 10, throw it in the trash bin. Without ever even like playing a match, or maybe they did the training and then just said, nope, this is terrible, I quit.
Well, some people couldn't
I
even
spit
get
on this
into
garbage.
games,
Which,
according
whatever,
to
I'm not your fucking
reviews,
dad.
which we'll
If
look at
if that's
after.
how
But
you want to interact with games, all power to you, man. Pretty much the second this puppy popped out of the oven here, people flocked to Steam to leave scathing reviews on it and post their like jokes and memes about how fucking trash it is without ever even loading into a single match. Right now it's sitting at mostly negative. And of course, not all of that is from people just looking to dunk on it because of the whole Game Awards fiasco. There are plenty of things to dislike about it so far with my experience. For me, I always like to give things a fair shake, so I actually played it a little earlier today with Matt and Danny. I have a video up on Moist Critical Gaming if you want to see how our first match went. And I want to give
I
you like my
forget
early
he
thoughts
has a
here. I'm going to
gaming
stream more of
channel.
it tonight.
I
Real quick
forget
though, I
he
want to
made a
interrupt to
fucking
briefly
gaming
mention
channel.
something that I've been pretty hyped for. Starforge just partnered with Ducky and Jagex to deliver a very special RuneScape keyboard for the 25th anniversary. All of you know I'm a huge RuneScape enthusiast, a super fan, so I was just pretty pumped about this, so wanted to put it on your radar. If anyone out there also loves RuneScape and is looking for a new keyboard upgrade, pre-orders are available now at Starforge. So anyway, back to Highguard. Overall, the game is just eh. It's fine. Like I don't think it's nearly as terrible as people are making it out to be. Like this is one of the worst FPS games.
He's painting it a lot better than all the reviews I read earlier. He is definitely painting it a lot better than everything I read
Of all time or
and what
something.
I
It's
saw
just
too.
not even close really. It's just very generic. And not in terms of like the actual gameplay mechanics, because they actually do try something different. It's not a hero shooter, it's not a battle royale, it's a 3v3 raid skirmish. I don't even know what to really call it, where you have a prep phase where you reinforce things a la Rainbow Six Siege, except the reinforcements here are fucking worthless. Like, basically, you take paper walls and you put plastic on top of it. That's your reinforcement. You can still easily get through these reinforced walls. To me, it just feels like the prepping to defense is kind of useless. It doesn't really stop much, at least not so far in my experience. But you have this phase to prep like that. Then you have a resource gathering phase where you gear up. So you go out in the world and you do some fucking Fortnite mining for materials, which you can spend at the trader for weapons and armor. You can also find loot out there for armor.
That's one thing that low-key kind of had me
other
confused.
Weapons or even like ability.
I feel like you should be doing the resource gathering before you're doing the setup for it, before you're doing like the defense. That might be me. I just feel like that might be a better way to streamline the game? Question mark? If that's how you put it?
Cooldown type stuff. Then after that, then you have the sword part, the shield breaker, where you and the other team will then fight to get the shield breaker. Whoever gets the shield breaker takes it to the other team's base, and then the raid begins, and what you want to do is plant bombs to blow up their base. Rinse and repeat. It's kind of a mishmash of a bunch of different things put into this mode, and I don't dislike it, but it feels like some of it's entirely worthless. Like I mentioned, that prepping phase to like reinforce certain walls around the points. Like in theory, that's a decent idea, like in Siege, but here, at least in my limited experience so far, the reinforcing just doesn't really do a whole lot. Like, again, it feels like you're just reinforcing a wall with like some fucking saran wrap. Like, it doesn't juice it that much. What you use to blow up walls when they're not reinforced, you will still use to blow them up when they are, with pretty much a very close level of success.
Like, that's just
so that feels like they
That's
could maybe
a change that
do
they
with an
need to
overhaul.
do.
The gearing phase also feels a little not super great, because as the rounds progress, like as the game goes forward, you can just buy what you want from the trader. So you mainly just collecting the crystals is the more important part than trying to like hunt for random loot. And it seems like you all end up getting geared to the same level anyway by the end. So those two things I don't think are amazing, but at least the horse makes this game feel faster than I thought it would be. I was under the impression this would be like Concord level molasses that you're playing through, where every character just moves at a fucking glacial pace. And then when I found out it's 3v3, I thought for sure this was going to be a snooze fest. But thanks to like having a mount, you're able to get around pretty quick, so you're able to go from fight to fight. And during the actual raiding, you do...
Even with the mount, it's such slow gameplay. It's not enjoyable to watch, in my opinion. And I doubt it would be enjoyable to play. I haven't gotten to play it yet, nor am I really excited to try it, but it just, like, watching the gameplay was not exciting. I did not have a good time watching streams today.
Respawn pretty quick, reviving is pretty quick, so it does feel much faster than I thought it would. Movement is still pretty slow. Like, there's not a whole lot of like crazy movement tech that I've seen yet. I've tried like bunny hopping to a certain level, and that kind of works, so maybe there's just more unexplored tech there, but base movement is pretty slow. And the big thing is the gunplay. This has been a contentious one because there's a lot of people that fucking hate it and some people that really like it. I think that it's solid. I actually thought the gunplay was pretty solid. I enjoyed it more than I expected to. It's not the tightest. It feels like aiming sometimes fights against you because it's somewhat floaty, but overall, the guns did feel good. Like, getting into a fight did feel enjoyable. Like, I don't think the gunplay is trash like a lot of people are saying. The big thing with gunplay, though, that holds it back is that there are certain things that this game is missing, which is why I'm saying that it feels kind of generic when it comes to its gameplay. Like, it has decent bones, but it's very bland. So because it's missing a lot of the flavor from some better shooters out there, this one just feels lackluster in comparison. But overall, I do think the shooting is just fine. Like, I have no issues with the gunplay. Some of the abilities are cool too, I suppose. I haven't
That seems to
seen
be like a
all of them,
very
but the
big
ones I've toyed
like
around with
sentiment the
seem
community
pretty
has
solid.
is just
Really, at the end of our gaming session, the consensus Matt, Danny, and I drew was that was more enjoyable than we expected going into it, though it's probably a game none of us are going to get like super into. I'm going, like I said, I'm going to stream more tonight, so we'll see if maybe I end up falling in love with it somehow, some way. But for what I've experienced thus far, it's fine. Like it's just a fine game. There's nothing like particularly special about it, but it's definitely not like a really bad game that people are saying that it is. I really think Jeff Keighley fucked him. Like actually went in there and face fucked him by putting Highguard at the very end of the Game Awards, where apparently based on a lot of like articles and stuff that have come out and talked about it.
I mean, kind of. You take like the prime advertisement spot of this event for a game that honestly should have spent more time in beta. I feel like if they had genuinely tested this a bit more, they would have realized the issues. Like the biggest thing that I keep seeing is the fact that the game would have been good if it was just left to cook a little bit longer in the oven, and no, they didn't do that. They rushed it out just like every other game that's come out in the past year from like any big studio, and it's so dumb.
They didn't even want to be there. Like they didn't want that slot or anything. Jeff Keighley just felt so strongly about it that he made the decision to put him there. I don't know if all of that's confirmed or not, but regardless, what is true is that their place at the end of the Game Awards, the most important slot in the most watched event for gaming, went to Highguard, which puts a huge level of expectations on this product, and it puts so many eyes on it. So people were expecting something like really impressive, and this game isn't. Like it's fine, like I said. Like there is some fun to be had there, but it's not like a game I can really see people like dedicating their lives to as like this is my comfort shooter now. I do think that there, like I said, are decent bones here. So if they do decide to build upon it, flesh it out, add more to it, improve certain things, and start to really, spruce it up a bit, maybe it could get to that point. But as it stands right now, not really in that state. And by being in that position at the Game Awards, it really did hamper them. It was a huge
It
detriment
screwed
because if
them.
this
It
game
screwed them so
was just
bad.
shadow dropped or something, like if this game
But
just
then
like
again,
randomly came out today, like hey, from some of the creators of some of your
there was nothing else revealed during the Game Awards that I feel like would have been good for that final spot, but that's just me personally. I feel like that's just like uh I wouldn't blame it entirely on that, but like it's also like you the expectations were set too high and partially because of that.
favorite shooters like Titanfall. We have this new studio and we've been working on this game and we want to share it with all of you today. Come give it a try. Let us know what you think as the game evolves. I think people will be a lot more receptive to it and a lot more enthusiastic about like maybe seeing this game improve down the line. But because it had so much hype at the Game Awards, people went in expecting something that this is just not really delivering on at the moment. Anyway, though, I just wanted to give you my thoughts on the game so far from the little bits that I've played. And I'm very curious to see how Highguard shakes out down the line. They already put like a 1 year roadmap out there, so it seems like they're pretty committed to it. I guess we'll see. But it did have a much more successful launch than Concord, so that's great. Anyway, that's
It's
really
not
about it.
hard to do
Yeah.
better than Concord though, especially when you're a free game. And like the reviews don't help it either. Like if we look at some of these, it's just kind of ridiculous. Like and players didn't give it like that many chances either because this person said after 3 matches I'm done, the structure of the game is just weird. The defensive stage doesn't make any sense when all the relevant walls and doors will be the same every round, can be blown up anyway. In the looting stage, the map is too big and empty considering it's only 3v3, and the only things in it are red and blue chests and the crystals, I guess. It would have made a lot more sense with the 10v10 mode or something. 3v3 just feels wrong for such a large area, where either you have to travel in a pack and share loot, or you're too far away from your team to have any hope of revival. Unfortunately, if you don't like the default game mode, too bad because that's the only one available. It's also just an ugly game, even with the settings cranked to max. Which that's something that was talked about a lot, was just game looks like utter trash on anything except for max. And if you're playing on an uncapped frame rate, good luck. Good luck trying to have a good experience. Um and also just watching people play, like the size of the map for a 3v3, it's too much. It's too much. It either make it smaller or at least minimum 5v5, dude. I feel like 5v5 might be a decent like sweet spot because I feel like 10v10, like there might not be enough loot on the map. But then again, that can be adjusted by just adding more loot to the map. But I also feel like the map isn't large enough to justify 10v10. Which is why I feel like 5v5 might be the sweet spot, or 6v6. Finally, Concord 2 is crazy. This one was a fun one to read. Earlier, upon completing my first game, I turned off my PC and went outside. The first time in 5 months. Thank you, Highguard, for giving me that experience. Truly one of the games of this year. Yeah, truly one of the games. Not like the best game or the worst game, just one of the games. Which I feel like that might be the case, to be honest. It might just fade into obscurity. Everybody's gonna stop talking about it. At least I hope so. Unless they pull like a No Man's Sky from under us, but I don't know. There was a review that I had seen earlier. Jeff Keighley slept with Miss Piggy so he could play this game. This man is a saint. The whole secure boot and TPM 2.0 not detected. Whenever I looked at the game on Steam, it said that I didn't have these options enabled. And what I have to say about it is that if I have to go into my BIOS in order to play a free game, there's a problem. There is a big problem. And whenever I first saw that, I was like, "Oh, maybe I'm the only one." Nope. Nope, there are reviews about it. There are people. There are people who are having the same problem I am. Wait, is this a... Oh my god. It makes about 30 cookies? Bro, 0.3 hours on record. They booted it up just to post a cookie recipe. Okay, this person played 3 hours. Gunplay very hit or miss in general. Some guns feel great, others feel horrendous, as well as gun balance being very whack. If you played Titanfall 2/Apex and know the car SMG, then there is an SMG and rifle that kind of fit that profile. What is good is really good. What's bad is really bad. Movement feels fine, I guess. Again, early, so movement tech needs to be learned. Animations look neat with revive and res orb destroy. Maps way too empty, like lots of dead space. Time limits kind of limit any outside gunplay. I can't read. Matches go really quick. Normally, very swingy in general. Get sword, challenge for a minute or two before raid starts, then swing into either the attacking team sweeps or get killed. Really feels like it's a game that can end in under 10 minutes easily. Server stability, a lot of disconnects post-match that require relogin. Login takes a bit. Granted, server instability, like, you can be upset about it, but it's just a given on a day one launch. It's just a given when it comes to any game that might have like a giant update or just released. Granted, there are games that release to more than 100,000 players and somehow keep it under wraps better than Highguard did. But I don't know exactly what their budget was or how much money they intended to put into the game anyway, seeing as it felt very rushed. Let's see, 5.3 hours on record. Cautiously optimistic for Highguard. Didn't want to assume anything of the game ahead of launch. With that in mind, I'm disappointed with what I've played. Above all, the game is boring. There are no NPCs to populate the maps, meaning the only engagement with the map is looting extremely surface level loot. The movement and shooting is just fine outside of mounts, which actually control very well. The visuals, even at 100% res scale with no upscaling, are blurry, with things such as forced motion blur. Is motion blur not an option in the settings? Performance is much worse than the visual presentation or listed requirements would lead you to expect. The raid game mode becomes repetitive extremely quickly within a couple of matches, honestly. Highguard touts itself as a new breed of shooter when all it culminates to is combining aspects from every popular shooter thoughtlessly. Edit. I went back to see if I was being unfair, and no, I was not. This is actually one of, if not the most dull multiplayer PvP games I've ever played. It got to the point where I was begging for my last game to end. That is great. I don't know. I want to give it a chance and properly play it. Might download it on the PS5 that we have in the house, but I'm definitely not digging in my BIOS to try this game. It just seems like too much of a hassle for it. And I don't know, I feel like if I tried to play it sitting like as close to my monitor as I do, I would get sick because of the motion blur. I turn motion blur off on all of my games because it hurts my eyes. Gives me a freaking headache. But I don't know. Maybe we'll see if I try it out and I might like revisit the topic, but this just seems so bad. It genuinely just feels like it's so bad. And I know that a lot of these reviews are just here to meme. Yeah, like this person, Discord quest to play for 15, boot up game, collect orbs, game crashes itself. Like some of these people didn't even put an hour into the game. And if you're disconnecting a bunch or crashing a bunch, then yeah, maybe less than an hour and you post a review like that, I'd understand. But if you can actually play the game, at least give it like a good hour and a half too. Unless server stability is as bad as some of these people make it out to be, because there was one that I read earlier and I don't know if I've already scrolled over it, but the dude was like, loaded into my first match, crashed and disconnected, loaded into game 2. Both of my teammates left within the first 5 minutes, loaded into game 3. Same thing happened, and then he was like loaded into game 7. Uh got to play the game. Enemy team fully disconnected. And then game 8 got to actually enjoy a full-on game. And that was it. So like if you have to queue 8 games to get a proper experience is a problem. And if most of it is due to people crashing or due to server stability issues, then again, they should have been more prepared for it. But that's my thought.